to another episode of 30 Minutes with dailystraits.com. This is your host, June Ramlee. Our guest today is Malaysian businessman Datuk Dr. Vinod Sekhar. Datuk Vinod is the chairman and CEO of Petra Group, a global conglomerate involved in sustainable technologies, manufacturing, infrastructure, media, entertainment, agriculture, lifestyle, research, and philanthropy. Through his vision and leadership, the Petra Group applies the concept of social capitalism to all its businesses, being profitable while ensuring sustainable wealth creation for the betterment of all. To date, Dato' Vinod has successfully developed green rubber, which uses globally patented D-Link technology and for the first time ever allows tires to become a renewable resource. With over 1.5 billion rubber tires being discarded each year, green rubber is capable of erasing one of the world's biggest environmental threats. Besides that, Datuk Vinod is also the big boss for the Malaysian news website The Vibes. So, without further ado, let's invite Datuk Vinod to the show and ask him all about his business ventures and other matters. Hello, Datuk. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you keeping?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome, Dato. So let's dive right into the question. So, Dato, your journey into entrepreneurship started at a very, very young age, at 21. Apparently, you started a clothing company with only $50 US dollars and managed to sell your company for 5 million US dollars. So, can you just give us a snippet like how you started, grew, and eventually sold that business?
I actually sold it for 20 million.
Okay.
But
Really? Yeah, sorry.
I'll tell you how I started. Basically, I was a scholarship student. You know, my family wasn't wealthy. My father was famous and was a world-renowned scientist and civil servant. So for me to go to university overseas or boarding school overseas, I had to get a scholarship. So I was a scholarship student there, and and I also, I was a bit of a character. I like to have fun. And I want to have my drink. I wanted to go to the bars, and I want to have fun. You can't really do that on a scholarship. You have your school fees paid for. You have um, your room paid for, and your food, your room and board, and that's it. So I had to find a way of earning some extra cash while I was in college. Um, as a foreign student, the only thing I was allowed to work in officially was either in the college cafeteria or the college library, all for a very low sum, certain hours, which I wouldn't have even paid for 2 beers, I think, 3 beers. So I had to think of something else, and I found that there was an opportunity in American bookshops, college shops, because people were selling, uh, you know, uh, T-shirts and mugs with college crests on it, pencils, pens, everything college crests on it. And I just noticed they didn't have nice dress shirts, polo shirts, simple nice dress shirts with just the crest on it. No one had done it. So I thought, maybe I could make that and sell it, and make some money. I had a friend whose father was an owner of a textile company in a city called Coimbatore in India, and he was also a student with me there. And I asked him, "Do you think your father can you help me make some samples?" So he said he asked his father. He said, "Sure, sure. You just tell him what design you want, and they'll have it made for you." And so I became a designer. Uh, Understand, I'm studying biology at the moment, molecular biology. So not much about design, but simple stuff. I took a white shirt. I want yellow stripes. White shirt, blue stripes. White shirt, red stripes. Pink shirt, blue shirt. Normal stuff, and then I found college crests from different universities, and I put it on the pocket. And I said, I just want the crest on the pocket, nothing else, no words, just the crest. And he said, fine, you can get me 10 samples for $50. So okay, yes, I had 60. I remember exactly. I had $68.75 in my bank account, I think, at that time. So I just took $50, paid it, and then waited for it to come to me. And you must understand, those days it was all on a fax machine. I had to go find a fax machine somewhere and send the fax with what I wanted, etc. And it was an interesting way of doing business. I mean, the communication was different than it is now.
Mm.
Very different. There was no email,
Mm.
if you like, to communicate. So anyway, in fact, there wasn't even a mobile phone. There was, you know, you made an appointment to meet someone somewhere, and you had to go there and meet them there at that time.
Yeah.
So I got my samples, and then I went to the different colleges because I had different university crests.
Mhm.
And one of the universities said, yes, okay, good idea. A lovely manageress there who I, just sort of looked doughy-eyed to and said, sorry, I'm a student, I'm trying to sell this. So she suddenly agreed to buy over 350, I think, shirts. I was shocked because I was really trying to sell like 5 or 10 and make a
Yeah.
difference, I convinced her to give me a 50% deposit. She agreed. She chose the different styles, designs she wanted, colors she wanted. And I sold it to her for $12. The net price of me receiving it packaged was $6. I sold it to her for 12, and
Mm.
I think that university sold it for $28.95, or a bit more. I can't remember now. 30 something. It was quite a large amount.
Mhm.
So that's how I started. And then another university said yes. Then another university said yes, and I just kept going. And then I used friends in different colleges to say, look, do you want a cut? Why
Mm.
did you make the offer to them? Because see what happens, people started seeing they liked it, right? Because
Mm.
alumni liked it, students liked it, new students came in, they'd like it, parents would buy it, which is a normal polo shirt, nice dress shirt. People just bought it. And so it grew. I had done the smart thing with a lot of them to ask for exclusivity within the college. That for this type of product, let me be the only one that can sell it because I'm going to
Mm.
I'm going to make it for you. I'm going to sell it to you, and they're making a lot of money.
Mm.
But they were also selling it online as we do it. So we became exclusive to all the colleges I went to. I asked that same thing, and
Mm.
those days it was all new, right? So it was fine. People gave it. I mean, no one really cared for a dress shirt, and then in the end, it just took off. It just took a life of its own. We were doing about 100,000 shirts.
Wow.
I was learning all about trade financing. I was learning about letters of credit. I was learning about shipments and insurance of shipments. A lot of hard lessons along the way. Some downs when we couldn't get the shipment done right, and learning how we got it right. Learning about how logistics worked. Yeah, it was, but it
How
didn't.
was your grades? How was your grades? Did you keep it up or
I kept
was?
my grades up, and one thing I did was I always kept my grades up. Otherwise, my father would have like whacked me. So, but it became clear that I enjoyed this. I enjoyed
Mm.
building businesses. I enjoyed making money. I enjoyed what I could do with the money because as soon as I made the money, I started a small little foundation to help kids, and I was able to help, and that felt good. Um, and I just enjoyed building things. I suddenly realized I like being this entrepreneur.
So before 21 years old and before that t-shirt business, no, you've not done anything. 19, oh, 19, sorry. Before that, you didn't do any business or your family, no.
No,
Okay.
no, my father was a scientist and civil servant. My mother was a teacher. And, no, I had no plans to be a businessman of any kind. I was going to be first I was going to be a doctor. Then I couldn't because I fell ill, and then I went into science. And then that was the plan. Um, Nothing much else. Sometimes fate takes you a different direction, and so
Okay. So
then
how?
that
Ah,
company was sold because suddenly it became a huge market, but I owned the sole rights for that area, and it was worth so much, and the brand was worth so much at the time. And Ziva, another large company just bought it from it for a very 4 years later. It wasn't immediate, but 4 years, 4.5 years later. But I had
wh-
come back by then.
while you were still a grad student.
No, I had come back to Malaysia by
Oh,
then.
oh, okay.
Come back to Malaysia by then. So I sold it. I mean, hey, wouldn't you? Starts at $50, you sell it, that kind of return. So, but I'd already gone by. I mean, by then I'd come back to Malaysia. We had created the Mont Kiara International School in Mont Kiara. I founded it. I'd started East Asia. I'd started Southeast Asia's first commercial internet company, Asia Connect. When I started that, there were only 700 internet users in Malaysia. Again, everyone said I was out of my mind. Who was going to send a message on a computer? That's what a fax machine is for. I was convinced it was the future, that everything would revolve around it. And I remember even predicting, I gave an interview, I think. I remember it was the Far East Economic Review, one of the magazines, and I said, you'll be doing everything on a little hand device soon, and everything, our life will revolve around the internet. And I was convinced of it. So I set it up and made a lot of money from that, because, internet became what internet became.
Yeah.
Then I did a lot of other businesses. I created a small circular abrasive discs, the smallest optic engine for projection technologies. I focus on technologies, evolving technologies, new technologies. I went into film and entertainment. We funded the Tarzan TV series in a joint venture with Disney MGM. We're the first Southeast Asian company to do so. And we did a lot of things that no one else had done, that no one else had tried to do. Some things were stupid. I tried to go into a sports car company. I made it work, but we had awful partners. Real rogues. And with lessons you learn as you go along. But I was, I think, the first Southeast Asian to own an F2000 team, F3 team, F1 team. I was 23 or 24 when I owned it. Long before what everyone else does now. But, it was fun. Didn't make me money, but you learn lessons from all these things. Spend a lot of money, but so expensive lessons, so you need to learn it. But that's how I started out.
Awesome, Dato'. So that's actually a good intro to my next question. So you venture into many businesses. I was wondering, how do you take due diligence on each business before you venture into? Do you do business plans or?
Two parts. I first have to like the business,
Mm.
and it has to play a role in what I believe in. I'm a social capitalist. That means I believe that you must make money, but how you make money matters. And true capitalism is about sustainable wealth creation. So you have to create and make it sustainable, which means you have to lift people out of poverty.
Okay.
Because you must create a strong middle class. Only with a strong middle class does your business thrive, does a community thrive. If a community thrives and a community is healthy and vibrant, I make more money. So it's very simple. It's a selfish thing. I want your money, but I need you to have it before I can take it from you. Right? So I have to play a role in pushing people out of poverty. So I have a market. I think all businessmen have to do that. It's about survival. If you don't, you cannibalize your own market. You don't make it sustainable. It all will implode and everything collapses. So businessmen now have a role to play in societal development. Right? We have to, because that's what sustains us. Society sustains us. We make money out of society. Our businesses thrive within a society, within a community. So how can we not play a role in making sure the community is healthy? How can we not play a role in solving problems within society? We have to. After all, we're smart enough to solve problems within our company. If we can solve problems within companies, which are far more complex sometimes, why can't we do the same in helping? I give you a simple example. It's like I find, businessmen to me are the smartest men in the room, right? And in the room, we do amazing things with companies. We resurrect them. If they're falling, we rebuild them. We do great marketing. We do all sorts of things with businesses that are very innovative in you. It's like having a dying duck. We have the best accountants in the world that will fix the arteries and bones of the dying duck, pump new blood through. We have the best lawyers in the world. I'll check everything out and sign a certificate that says this formerly dying duck is now alive and well. And then we have the best communications people and PR people that will tell the world this formerly dying duck is not just alive and well, it's laying golden eggs. Now, if you could take a small percentage of that ingenuity that we use in business and used it to fix a societal problem, to find a solution for communities, imagine what's possible.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I think, I believe we're about. So when I look at businesses, businesses that will have impact, but it must make money. It must be commercial. Because if it's not commercial, it won't have impact. It is not about asking people to sacrifice. I'm not a hypocrite. I have a private jet. I have a yacht. I have all the luxuries in life. I'm not going to change. I worked hard for my money. I want it. I like to live in comfort. It's not about wearing a hair shirt. It's not about being a hypocrite. It's about, if you're smart enough to have all this, surely you're smart enough to play a role in societal development. You've made money off society. Surely you have a responsibility now to help lift society. So take everyone with you on the ride. Right? So when we look at business, we look at how it impacts. How can we improve the impact? And that's decision one, that it must be something that fits that model for me. Second is the normal. You look at the business, you look at the cash flow, you look at the business plan, and you see whether it makes sense. But more importantly, I see whether we can make a difference, whether our abilities can enhance that business more further, whether we can structure it and take it forward. So, we do our due diligence. It's like any normal due diligence, but we're less scared. We're a company that takes more chances than most. And because we invest in things that a lot of people wouldn't. Or a lot of people would say, let's see if it works first. We'll take that first leap. We'll take that first step and that challenge. That's why we do technologies that no one else has done before. That's why, we create value. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. And I have failed several times, fallen flat on my face. But luckily, my successes outweigh my failures, and then we go forward. Again, if you can learn the lessons from those failures, margin of error reduces.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Successes increase and your failures reduce. You can't go anywhere and say, "Oh, I'm never going to fail." That's bullshit. Right? We will always trip. Right? And despite where I am now, I've made disastrous mistakes historically. I've not always been right, but I try to learn from them, move forward from there.
Okay, Dato. So, forgive me for asking this question. So, if one Googles you out or even reads your Wikipedia page, they will probably read a string of unfavorable news about you. So, I just wondered, has all this news ever impacted your ability at all to undertake any new businesses or even gain the trust of new business partners?
Well, firstly, if you read, I don't read what's on things, but if you read, there's a whole bunch of good and there's a bunch of replicated bad, meaning, it's repeated. If someone is not smart enough to work out that it's actually crap, that the two can't be real, then this is obviously an attack, then they're probably not smart enough to do business with me. And I have no, I don't really care. Having said that, I unfortunately took a position that I'll stand up for what I think is right. I believe that our political system should be reformed. I believe we should fight corruption. I believe we should have a free press. I believe many things that perhaps previous governments did not believe. And in Malaysia, businessmen are not supposed to have political opinions. Right? Businessmen are supposed to be happy that the government will support them, make money, and carry on, and not get involved with societal issues or political issues. For me, I believe it's my responsibility because I have a voice. What's the point of having wealth and power and you do nothing with it? That makes now, again, the problem is when you do that, powers that be don't like it. How dare this person think he can, and so they come after you. Now they'll either come after you with their fake stories, news reports tweaked around one or the other, make it sound almost believable. They have their cyber troopers or their, people overseas just write some story and then tweak it and spin it in a different angle. They do all sorts of things, and so that's what you find, right? And okay, one of my mistakes, perhaps my team tell me, is I don't respond because I find it beneath me to respond to nonsense. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, who knows? I mean, I will respond now if I'm asked, like you asked me, I'll respond. But some of the stories are so stupid, it's just nonsensical. But it's happened. It's what previous governments have tried to do, because I am a close friend of the leader of the opposition. And Anwar Ibrahim, as you know, was jailed twice for sodomy of all things, nonsensically. I believed it was a grave injustice. It wasn't that I was politically supporting him. He's just someone I've known since I was 13 years old. And he's my friend. And I don't throw my friends under the bus, whatever their politics. And I have close friends in all political parties, very close friends. Ruling party, opposition party, doesn't matter. They're my friends. And I'm not a politician. But I refuse to sell my soul. I refuse, despite all the offers, and I was offered everything under the sun. Just throw this man under the bus. We'll give you everything. And I'm a businessman, so many things in my life are for sale. My soul is not one of them. I guess that the price I paid is to have all these nonsense articles and stories and attempts by the government to investigate stuff, previous governments to investigate stuff that didn't exist, to create news, because they felt perhaps I was a threat because I was supporting the opposition or opposition at that time or something like that. I mean, who knows why? I mean, if anyone that knows Malaysian politics knows that this is how it works, and businessmen generally just keep quiet. Well, I don't know how to keep quiet. Never have. Been a problem all my life. No filter. I say what I think when I think it, and I'm not going to change. And I'm glad I haven't changed, because yes, we've taken, my family and I have taken huge punishment with the stories like you're talking about, attacks on me and all sorts of things, but we stayed our ground. We didn't sell our soul, and we're doing pretty well now. Paid the price, went through the hardships, but you're still standing. And I'm happy we did that, and it proves what my father taught me: good guys win. Takes longer sometimes, hurts a bit sometimes, but ultimately, if you can remain the good guy, you'll always win. Or good gal. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be politically correct, but it's the point is that along the way there's always temptations and hardships that make you take a wrong way, that make you decide that I can't do this anymore. And that's when you can't remain the good guy. The thing is, can you remain the good guy? Can you remain all the way through? And the key is, if you do, you will come out on top. Right? And I did, and look where I am now. At that moment, it doesn't matter what people say, what nonsense you read. It's meaningless. So when you ask me, does it affect me? Of course it affects me. I mean, no one likes nonsense being written about you. You don't like your family members to read it. You don't like your friends to read it. But I have close enough friends now who look at it and just start laughing. Right? I mean, it'll be moronic stories, that makes no sense. How can he be doing all this and be this? It doesn't make sense. So I also have to take a position that if there are people that don't dig deeper to find out what's behind the story, then they're probably not worth even having as a partner, because they're not thorough enough. They're not looking at everything. It's also taught me that I don't, I decide for myself about a person. I don't, care what the internet says. I will do my due diligence on the individual. I think I'm smart enough. My team are smart enough to do it. And so it has had impact here and there, but nothing that's really stopped me from growing, doing what I do. Nothing's that prevented me from expanding our businesses. And you're talking to someone that's never taken a government contract in his life. I've never taken a government contract in my life. I've never taken a government grant in my life. I've never been funded by the government in my life. I don't have a loan from the government. I've never taken public funds. I've never even had a public company in Malaysia. So how do you deal with someone like me? You can understand the conundrum of those in power that might want to, So the only thing they have left is to find little angles here and there to use. And then, then try to bribe you, right? Try to buy you out. Put enough pressure and then say, okay, now, hey, it's world. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that answers the question anyway.
Yes, Dato, very well answered. In 2008, you made headlines for being sued by Hollywood actor Bruce Willis, which was later resolved. So lately, the actor has come in play again for being unwell. He's very unwell right now. And I was just wondering, Dato, if you are still in contact or
Let me just say,
friends.
Bruce Willis is a very good man. He is a friend. He remains a shareholder of one of my companies.
Oh,
Right? And at that time was a miscommunication. What people don't understand is the headlines made was because it was pushed in Malaysia. Right? Yes, his management sued but they sued everybody. They sued a lot. They were trying to get funds back in. They sued for investment back, right? To the company, not me. They didn't sue me for anything. They sued the company. But as I said, the news likes to tweak things, right? Sue me. I didn't know what it was about, right? Until it came on the press, I didn't even know about it. When I talked to him the next morning, the next day, 24 hours later, he immediately sent out a press statement to say that it's miscommunication. The suit has been vacated, it has been removed, and he has complete confidence in the company and continues to support the management. End of story. But you see, that one gets page 48. The one in the first day, the scan, the exciting story gets page 1. But the fact that, I'm sorry, that was all a mistake. It was not, and that's not it. Everything is fine, and carry on. Gets page 48, or this disappears in the ether. But I hope that answers the question for you. That's
yeah. So he's still a shareholder till
yes,
today.
yes.
Oh, can I ask what company? Which company? Or is that PNC?
No, Green Rubber.
Oh, Green Rubber. Awesome. So, Dato, so for many years,
A very, very good man, though, and it's very sad what's happened because there are very few people like him. He's very, he says things as they are, and he's honest, and he's just a great guy. So it's very sad what's happening now.
so you're friends with him, you're still WhatsApping with him, and
WhatsApp everyone, but I would say he's still a friend, and he's still someone I do care about. He's a good man.
awesome. Okay, that's good. For many years, Dato, you have been off the radar, but recently you've made a comeback in a huge way, and now you've launched the Vibes. And have some of the country's top journalists working for you. Like some of them are my ex bosses. So tell us, Dato, what was the need for you to launch a new website?
Okay, one of my pet gripes in Malaysia was, why can't I just get the news? Why can't somebody just tell me what's happening instead of giving me an angle skewered? I'm smart enough. I can decide whether the government is wrong or the opposition is wrong. I can decide whether a policy is right or wrong. Just tell me what it is. Tell me what's going on. Let me have news. Let me have it immediately and dig. Give me analysis, proper analysis, so that I can balance things out. Yes, maybe an editorial is about supporting one side. Then give me an opposing editorial, an opposing view, so I can decide. Give me two things. And I wonder why a news site can't do that. And it became clear because they're always owned by something, somebody that has an angle. Whether it's a newspaper being owned by a political party or owned by a businessman linked to something. And I felt that what, I should do something about this. Sometimes people think I'm full of myself, but I just felt it's something I should do. So I started it, and everyone said it couldn't happen. Take 10 years before you get any traction. But I think in less than a year and a half, we're the fastest growing news site in the country. We're one of the most respected. And despite everything being said about, oh, is it pro-Anwar and all that, it's the most balanced news site in the country. We don't take a position. I mean, you'll have Anwar Ibrahim angry because we've attacked him once or twice. And we will, when things are wrong, we say it. We report. We've interviewed Najib Razak. We've given him, an open mic to speak and to do an interview. We've done the same with Tun Mahathir. We've done the same with Sri Mohideen Yassin. We've done the same with everybody. And when things are wrong, we say it. When there's news that we feel have to be reported, we report it. It doesn't matter which state or which politician or which party or which policy. We give the public the news. And I think that's so critical for a democracy. And the hope is that you keep doing that, you force others to do the same. Right? And then that's a great thing, right? If everyone is writing the news and not skewed too much, but just balance and just giving the public a chance to decide for themselves which way they want to go. So that's why I did it, because I had tremendous faith in the team I put together. And you're right, they are legendary in the field of journalism. But it also tells you, a little bit about me, that I got that that they believe in the same thing. They just needed someone to believe in them as well, that this could happen, that they could write honestly, without fear or favor, that lying without fear or favor, that it could actually mean without fear or favor. And that's how we operate. That's how they don't talk to me about article. They don't come and ask me, oh, by the way, we're about to write about this person. Is it okay? They don't do any of that. I don't interfere. I'll get involved once in a while to see what's going on. If I think an angle hasn't been covered and should be covered, but that's rare, because they cover pretty much all angles. We have close to 100 new staff, right? So it's quite an outfit.
It is.
Of incredible reporters, and I'm very proud of our reporters. They write amazingly. We have an amazing chief news reporter. We have amazing editors. Proud of all of them. They're very, very good. Even have a lifestyle magazine called Tara, and the person running it is fabulous, and it's a Malay magazine, and I enjoy reading it. So between Kataran, which is our Malay news site, Vibes, which is our English news site, it's growing, and I'm excited for the future, for the news site, for Petra News.
Awesome.
And I hope people are happy with what we're producing. I mean, look, the at the end of the day, right? The proof is in the pudding and eating it. We've been there for a year and a half now. People can see we are what we are. It doesn't matter what people say about being, he's pro this, he pro that. They can easily see from our writings, we're neither pro opposition or pro government. We are just pro Malaysia, and we write the news. And
awesome.
some people won't.
Okay. Dato', so forgive me again for asking this question. So you recently had a bankruptcy status connected with your good self. So I was just wondering, right, Dato', how did you get there? If there is a miscommunication, let me know. And then what would be your advice for businessmen who are currently in such a predicament?
Firstly, no business would be in my predicament. It wasn't a predicament. There was a bankruptcy action taken there was a debt in 1998 during the Asian financial crisis, of which I was one of 6 directors and a 5% shareholder. We had resolved everything by 2000. In 2010, I'm informed that in 2004, a bankruptcy action was taken from an action of 1998, and I'm the only one that was named. And they told me, you've been traveling without permission, and the bankruptcy is there. We proved in court that the documents were forged, that the dates were, it's all lies, it was all bull, and the whole matter was annulled. It just took a while, we already proved it in court, then it took us a while to get rid of it out of the system. That was, again, a political creation. Don't forget what year that was. That was Anwar Ibrahim coming out again. Right? So every time Anwar Ibrahim appears, they think, okay, let's go get Vinod, because we don't want Anwar to have any support. For some reason, they think that, Anwar has a lot of support from a lot of people, but they seem to connect me with him. Right? Don't ask me why. But he is one of my closest friends. He's my brother, right? So I will never change that. but I don't agree with a lot of his policies. So I think they're a bit, stupid politically when they attack, because there are a lot of people in different parties that I do support, that I do have a relationship with. So that's what it was about. So for the record, the matter was annulled, which means it never happened.
Okay.
Why? Because we proved that it was forged documents and it was fictitious in itself. And we are taking action separately to get some returns on that, on what they did. So that's one. But let's go into people that might face themselves in that because they failed. It's not the end. Everyone falls. It's what you do after you fall. If you give up, then it's just a waste. No lessons learned. But if you can get up and realize, well, you did it once and you made a mistake and you fell, surely you can do better now, because you now realize what was wrong, what you did wrong. And get up, do it again, but the right way. And perhaps avoid some of the mistakes. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Hopefully the luck changes. I mean, there are lots of reasons, but falling and just lying there dead makes no, doesn't help anybody. Feeling depressed doesn't help anybody. If you're a real entrepreneur, you get up and you keep walking, because there is no choice. And if you do that, you will succeed. Doesn't matter how many times you fall, keep getting up, keep walking, and you will succeed. And that's also about playing chess instead of checkers. Checkers is always about the first move, just immediate move, immediate gain. Whereas chess is about the whole board, winning the whole game, getting that king. You might sacrifice a pawn, you might sacrifice a bishop, you might sacrifice a castle. It doesn't matter as long as your strategy is to win the entire board. Right? So I think people have to look at things with a wider perspective. And those that are judging should look to themselves. What have they achieved in their life? And that person that failed tried, but trying again. I have more, faith in that person, and more pride in that person than that person who's judging that person who's not done anything in their lives, who's not attempted anything, but they're happy to go and, say little things about others. So to entrepreneurs that fall, you get up. To anybody that fails at things, get up. I failed, many times, many times. I keep getting up, keep going forward. And guess what? I have a super yacht and a plane. Right? How much more blunt can I be about, eventually you'll get there. Right? So, here's someone that has fallen many times and has had to get up, and has had to fight different battles. But you will get there, and then as long as you keep moving forward, learning your lessons, and moving forward.
Awesome, Dato'. Last November, the media reported that your office was raided. I just wanted to check with you what
But
was
I
that.
think a media reported, I think a tiny little news portal reported. But that's a different matter, because that's action being taken separately. Number one, we were not raided. I was not here.
Yes.
There was a visit to request information about one company. That information was provided. That's all I know. That's it.
Okay.
That's the totality of what happened. Of course, the little portal that reported it, just you like blowing things up, right? Making a much bigger story than it is, and then adding more flair to it, and putting some fire under it. It's sad, but that's also why Vibes is run. Balance all this out, right? So to answer your questions, no, and company is fine, everything is fine, accounts are fine, we're moving forward, everything is fine. There was a request because someone made a report about some ventilator purchases, of which we were just the middlemen. We were just advisors. We just introduced our friends in Hungary to our friends in China and let them do the deal. Because they trusted us, they asked us to be in the middle of it to make sure that the delivery was done. Not to choose what was bought, but just to make sure that if they bought it, the Chinese side would deliver it. That was our role. We fulfilled our role and did nothing else. right? And that's completed. But if you listen to what that portal wants to say, is, I'm so amazing that I made a $500 million commission on a $500 million contract. One of my friends said, if I'm that smart, I'm not his hero, I'm his god. I mean, if I was that smart, I'd love it. So, I mean, it's all crap. It's all nonsense. That whole thing was us trying to assist a government. That's our total involvement, nothing more than that. And because of that, there was a request for information to make sure that we had paid all our taxes. We did everything. We provided all the documents we had to provide, and and that's all we know.
Awesome. All right, Dato. So, finally, what is your proudest accomplishment to date?
Proudest accomplishment, apart from my two daughters,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm immensely proud of. They're amazing girls. They're amazing, smarter than me, prettier than me, which doesn't take a lot, but uh, they're just simply amazing. But apart from that, I I believe, I think it's trying to get close to living up to the kind of standards and beliefs my father had, to actually make a difference in people's lives. During the pandemic, we have fed millions. Uh, we donated a mobile hospital. We got involved in people's lives. We tried to save companies that were dying, just by helping, and we managed it a few times. Um, I'm proud that my team and I look look at business and life that way. Not about just taking,
Mm.
but about being involved and growing together. You know, um, I'm proud of the fact that if you look at the executives in my office and my company, they all operate that way as well. That they themselves will tell people how they do business and what they want to do business on. And that I'm proud of. That I've got more people to believe in what I believe in. That if you're smart enough to make money, you're smart enough to do so well, then you're smart enough to make a difference in people's lives. You're smart enough to fix societal issues, and you should be involved
Mm.
in society. You should be involved in the community that you take so much from. You should make sure that they also thrive,
Mm.
so that that symbiotic relationship continues. Um, so I am proud that that's the direction we're going in, and that I've got everyone moving in that direction. The the key to any successful business, a successful CEO, is to know your weaknesses, know the holes around you, and be able to bring people that can cover it. And I'm proud of the fact that I've surrounded myself with the smartest people I know for different areas, much smarter than me in different areas. You know, I know I have the vision and the big picture, but how do you deliver on it without
Mm.
brilliant experts in?
Mm.
And whether it's vibes, like you see with
Mm.
kind of people I've done, or any of my companies, you got to surround yourself with people that you consider smarter than you, and put your ego aside and listen, because you're the biggest winner, biggest loser at any time. You need to listen. You still decide,
Mm.
but you need to listen, and you need to have people that are willing to tell you what they think. Doesn't matter if you think they're wrong, but they must be willing to tell you what they think, not tell you what you want to hear.
Mm.
And I'm proud of the fact that that's the kind of organization I built, that can grow long after me.
Awesome, Dato. And all right, that's all the time that we have for today. We have just been speaking to Datuk Vinod Sekhar, the chairman of Petra Group. Thank you, Dato, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dato. The pleasure is all ours. Be sure to join us next time as we aim to interview another interesting entrepreneur from across the globe. Thank you.